Today we talked about, are we too old? The only one that did not fit that category was Jessica. Is that right?
I guess it would depend on my mentality. And so based off of my mentality, you are absolutely correct. I am not too old. And I would say, based off of my mentality, none of you guys are too old either.
Yeah, I believe that. I believe that thing is you're only as old as you feel. And, so I firmly believe that I'm a pretty young guy. I'm going to keep acting that way anyway.
Absolutely.
Just don't want to embarrass myself.
Have you ever had an experience like the movie Up in the Air where something cool and new comes in and it's kind of blindsiding because you've been on this path of knowing and learning and you're really in your groove, and then something happens and it's like the rug gets pulled out from under you, and in the end it's really not, but people had to go through that experience and you yourself had to go through that journey. I want to know, have you ever had an experience like that?
I think so. I think I've experienced that probably a couple of times in my life and in my career. But it's one of those things. We talked about that on the Hangout. We talked about that on the Hangout. But in the corporate world, the politics aspects that always comes into play. There's always politics that people. I think that might have something to do with some of the discussion that we were talking about in the millennial sect and all that do not really understand. They might play it, but they don't understand the importance of the politics, so to speak. Right. That usually is what I would see. And the frustration part, I mean, maybe it was you'd been busting your ass so to get to a certain spot, and somebody comes along and out of nowhere and grabs that thing from you, and you're going, why me?
Right.
And when you step back and look at it, is maybe I didn't do what I needed to do. I just kind of relied on, the procession is going to take me. I'm going to get in there. And that happened probably a couple of times in my career, probably more than I'd like to admit.
Well, it's actually happened to me too. And I will tell you, it's because I didn't know what I was doing. Looking back, the times that really happened to me was because I was oblivious to the politics that you were talking about. And still sometimes that will get me. It's like, wait a second, how could I have missed that? So I've really been working on my observation skills and the actual words that are used and what do those words mean to the people saying them. Because when I say something could be very different than when any of you guys say something.
Yeah, okay. So I just wanted to address people who may be just tuning in. This is a post-show BLAB on a show, the Ray2Go show that we did about ageism in digital marketing and whether it exists. And I think we all pretty well agree that it does exist, not only in digital marketing agencies, but all kinds of businesses. Ageism in there. And unfortunately, like any other kind of ism, it's based on stereotypes. So some of the topics that we talked about was that why does it exist and what can we do about it? And again, we kept the conversation around marketing because we're in the digital marketing space and it's a very technological space. So obviously your skill set in learning technology, all the new platforms, social media, all those play a very important role. And in some of the research I did for the show, I mean, it's pretty amazing that the median age in the technology industry, and if you're in digital marketing, you're in the technology industry, is under 30 years old.
Yeah.
I have children older than that.
Well, one of the things though that we didn't really talk about, we kind of glanced over this during the show, right? And it was that there was a lot of forced second careers, third careers during the recession, and a lot of people in their 40s wound up losing a job, younger too and older too. But and they went out job searching. Couldn't find anything relevant to what they thought their value was. They didn't want to step down. So they thought, hey, let me get on. I dabble online a little bit. Let me try this. So there's a lot of, there was a tremendous increase in online marketing gigs going on that people thought that they could do it. They got in there and maybe found out that, setting up a website's not going to really generate a lot of money for me, or teaching somebody how to do Facebook's not going to do that. And so there was a lot of uncomfort that occurred because of that. Now I think, people are realizing that there are ways. I mean, there's always been ways to make money online, to sell things and do things. And they've experienced that downturn, that it's not really easy as it looks. So let me find a niche that I can be in and make some money. And I think that's where we're at now.
So that's really tough for a lot of people who've been working in companies to be an entrepreneur. An entrepreneur is not for everybody. Scott, go ahead.
Well, what Randy was saying, there's always been a way of making money online, and I agree with you, Randy. But what is revolutionary is that online has only been around since the 1980s or 1990s. We have capabilities of coming online and taking control of our own destiny in ways that we've never been able to do, and that is what is different now than before. Always before, there was an infrastructure we had to fit into. There's a new one, and we're making it up as we're going along, but we're getting to know how to put together websites and the language of the internet and those sorts of things. So it's a bright new day for everyone, I think, who's able to adapt to this emerging marketplace, recognizing, as you always say, Randy, that there are some basics that or some fundamentals, like in baseball, that never change. You always, hold the bat in a certain way, and if you run to third base instead of first base, you're still not going to be able to score.
That's interesting. And I think that, and I'm going to talk about ageism from a different perspective, because I just got past the part where I was too young for a lot of stuff. I'm in that window where I'm not too young, and I'm not too young, and I'm not too old. And so I think that that's a really interesting thing. And I never considered myself young, and I'm not going to consider myself old. I'm going to consider myself doing what I do. And unlike a lot of people, they feel like they have to become an entrepreneur. So they're figuring out, what does an entrepreneur mean? Or they have to go get a job because there's some internal security of one over the other. And so they're trying to do it this way. And I'm one of those people. I could be both. I love running my own company. I love having my team. I love going out and getting the business and helping clients. But you know what? I also love being part of a team of somebody else's and helping make that vision occur. And it's probably because I'm that glue that's in the middle. I'm more of all those soft skills. So sure, I know hard skills and technology and stuff like that, but bringing people together, rallying people behind ideas, figuring out what the problems are, and then deciding what can be done about those problems from a larger group is something that I love to do. And
Chuck asked about, you said you were in that too young, and he asked too young for what? So you shared a good story in the hangout. Well, if you can condense that down a little bit and give him a little clearer picture.
Sure. When I was in college, I was part of a startup company. And by the time I was 21, we sold that company. And so here I am, 21 years old. I can't even rent a car. And I'm supposed to travel to the company's headquarters in another state that bought us, and go back and forth and do all of these different things. So here I am, I'm too young to rent a car, but I'm supposed to get on a plane and figure out how to go be in senior executive meetings with guys who have been in corporate culture their whole lives. I had no experience. We started this. We were all under 30 at the time. Most of us were under 20 when we started that business. And so I thought I could do no wrong. Well, I messed up my fair share. I'll be honest, I messed up my fair share, but I also had somebody who went, okay, here are the bumpers on that bowling lane. And when you hit the bumpers, I'm just going to whack you back into the lane, and then off you can run again. So I had a really good mentor during that time, which was very beneficial to me. And I learned a lot from that.
Yeah, and that's so important, that the whole idea of a mentor, to have someone give you those bumpers. And if you don't have someone like that, I think you're kind of stuck.
Yeah.
I mean, so are you saying then for anyone over 40 who wants to go into marketing, that they're out of luck, that they basically have to do their own business?
Hell no.
No, I mean, as far as working as an employee somewhere.
No, I don't think so at all. I think if somebody knows where they stand, and I have the CD to the book I Like Me right here. It's just this pig sings a song and everything.
You're gonna have to let people know what I Like Me is.
I Like Me is a kid's book, guys. That it's a little pig who goes through her day and talks about all of the things that she likes about herself, including when she makes mistakes, including when she's trying over and over again to learn a new skill. And she just has a really good time in life. And I think when we start from that place, I like me, here's what I'm really good at. Here's what I really like to do. If I've got those things rooted really deep, which is this is one of my favorite books to read, my son Carter right now, is that as long as I know what I like, I can handle what I don't like. I might not have to do it forever, but I might have to do something I don't like for a while. But it's rooted in the fact I know what I do like, and how can we move forward and take that situation and incorporate it into what we talked about on the show as context.
I think if you're a 40 or 50-year-old experienced with a strong reputation marketer, and you have relationships with people inside agencies, you probably have a shot at doing that. If you're a 40 or 50-year-old boilermaker and you quit and you want to be a marketer, your chances of learning that skill are not going to be there. To go work for an agency is what your question was.
Yeah.
Now, can a 40, 50-year-old ex-boilermaker develop some skill sets and present themselves online and make a go of it? Yeah, because
Sure.
if you have that burning desire in you and you have the passion and the spirit in you, you can do that. I mean, that nothing's going to hold anybody back that has that. It's friggin' hard work though. That's what people don't understand.
And people have to work hard.
And it is not clocking in at 8 o'clock and leaving at 5 o'clock. It is work. And if you're not, and I would say that almost about any profession. If you're not willing to put in the work, you're just a worker bee, and you're going to drift along.
And I think that goes for, because Chuck was asking, are we talking employed marketer or self-employed? And I think that point that you're making, energy, applies to either.
Yes.
If you're working by yourself, you're not working 8 hours a day, 5 days a week. You're working.
Well, and it's relevant to what your definition of success or work is. Yes. I mean, if somebody says, "Hey, I just want to make 20 grand a year. I'm going to do this little thing online," you can do that, right? But if you really want to make a living, a real living that you're putting stuff away, it is hard work, and it's going to take constant things. And that's what I'm saying now. My background, I've been in marketing. My education was in marketing and business.
Thanks, Jess.
And bye, Jess. And I kept that going. So I've been doing that. I'm almost to the point where I want to go be a boilermaker now. I want to go learn that skill set maybe. So I've done a lot of that, but I see so many that what we talked about on the show. I mean, we got caught up in the recession. I voluntarily, I didn't get caught up in the recession, but I voluntarily walked away from a corporate job early on in my career. I got old enough that I could get something out of it, and I did that right before the recession happened. So then I got that double whammy. I volunteered to do this and stepped out into another profession, and was able to work in. It was still marketing, but work in another vertical. And throughout the recession that kind of got me through that period. And then I went independent. So I see so many people that, oh man, I was working for whatever, Nabisco, and now I'm going to hang out my shingle and be the savior of whatever, and it's hard work. You can do it. But I see a lot of people online that you kind of question, because it's easy. It's very easy to create a facade that that what you are able to present. I mean, you take somebody in their 40s, 50s. I mean, if they've played their cards right, they've amassed a lot in their lifetime, and you can paint a pretty good picture.
Welcome, Chuck.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning. I'm going to ask a question that's going to ask it openly anyway. Basically, if you are over that 40 divider, what skills do you need basically to stay in the game?
Well, I go back to, I definitely over 40. My oldest child is 54, or was until he became deceased. But the one thing I just picked up early on in my teens was the mindset of being who I was and knowing what I wanted to do. And that has transcended through time. And a lot of the people that I've worked with over the last 30, 40 years, what we've focused on is their mindset and how they look at themselves. I'm involved in a couple of companies. Two of them, we've completely removed resumes from any hiring practices. I don't give a crap what you write on a piece of paper. I want to sit down and talk to you. And with the proper probing and questions, we come up with candidates that seem to be acceptable. It's just a totally contrarian viewpoint in today's society. I do have clients who are in the 40 and 50 age range who are seeking to expand their own businesses. I tend to follow people who are not in a corporate structure, even though their businesses are incorporated. The board of directors is not running the business or our stockholders. And I think we have a different playing field when we're there. But getting back to self-employed, again, I keep hearing it. I appreciate hard work, but I've never labored under the yoke of hard work. I farmed, with livestock business, 7 days a week, 24 hours a day. I never considered, my mind never allowed me to consider that I was working.
That's your attitude. And that's what I'm saying. A lot of people, I mean, you worked hard. If somebody sat out there and went, man, that Chuck, he's always Sunday, he's out there with the cows or running a tractor. They're going, I ain't doing that shit. I mean, that is hard work.
But you see,
sorry, Chuck. I just want to welcome Wake Up and Change the
I
World
would
story.
say that's Kim, not Lisa. Is that right?
I'm Lisa.
Oh, you're Lisa?
Lisa.
Okay.
Okay. So I recognize you from being online, and I couldn't remember the name, Lisa. Thanks, and thanks for joining us.
Yeah, welcome, Lisa.
Good to see you guys over here from the, hangout land and BLAB land. But I love this conversation. There's so many things, this idea of, I just saw, are you too old to work in digital marketing? There's this whole thing, right, of digital natives versus digital immigrants. And I love that you're talking about, the over 40, I'm 44, almost 45. And I'm right on that cusp there of, okay, I'm going to learn this tech stuff and get it, because I don't have a choice anymore with my business. If I want the work that I do, I have to learn this stuff. But there is this real truth about digital natives versus digital immigrants. And it is a lot harder for digital immigrants, of which we are all digital immigrants. I think digital natives, the year is if you were born after 1986, I believe it's either 84 or 86, you're considered a digital native. You grew up with computers and my daughter, grew up with an iPhone basically. And we didn't. We had the rotary dial phones. I'm like, oh my gosh, they don't even exist anymore.
It's almost like a second language, right, Lisa? I mean, if you're a native, you learn a language as you grow as a child. It's so easy, you don't even think about it.
Right.
But if you learn a language as you go, you can learn it and be very proficient, but you'll always have an accent. You'll always have,
Absolutely. Then, if we take that idea of digital native versus digital immigrant, I believe that there's a lot of gurus out there who keep saying, build your business online. You can do the digital marketing thing, and it's easy as long as you have a computer and an internet connection, and you have a bank account that people can put their money into. It's not that easy. It is that. And that's a partial truth. There's a lot of hard work that goes behind it, especially for those of us who are digital immigrants, because we do have to learn a whole new language. It's not intuitive to us. And
first of all, you gotta have a service or product.
Right.
And then you can understand. And I think in my career, I would have people come to me with a product, right? And they had in their mind, it's kind of like what Chuck said. In their mind, it was the greatest product in the world, but they couldn't sell it to me, right? I didn't see the value. Now, it might have had something there, but I couldn't. I mean, they could not. They believed in their product so much that they could not sell it in a way that convinced me to invest in it. In other words, invest my time. Do I want to invest my time and spend money to try to promote this product for you? Because I don't see a value of an enhancement. And I think that's what happens a lot online. A lot of people have an idea, but they can't sell it.
Yeah, and I think that there's a lot of factors, and that one is just being a good marketer and understanding how to market. Another thing I think is what we're doing right here is people like face-to-face connection these days. We're going back to that. I know Ray knows a lot about that with David Amerlin talking about the trust factor. And how important that is in this face-to-face connection and communication that we can now have, that's now available to us, actually, I believe, narrows that divide with people who aren't that good at writing their marketing pieces, but who can communicate really well face to face who they are, and that builds the relationship. And maybe that can, I don't know, what do you think?
Doing work is doing that which you don't really like.
Sure, but I think
it's a simplification, Randy. It's I live in a simple world.
Yeah,
okay?
I agree with you, and I told you, but that's attitude. And I think in today's time, and it's just like what Lisa was saying, I think in today's time, if you project that, look, I mean, it's easy to say, look, if you go out there and do what you have a passion for and you love, it'll be a piece of cake.
Right? That's easy to say.
Easy to say. And today, if we, and I'm not dinging on millennials or Gen Xers or boomers in any way. I'm just saying, in today's time, if you tell somebody, it's easy. Look, my wife employs a lot of people that are going to college, right? These people don't want to work. They don't want to. I mean, if you ask them to do something else, they don't want to work. They want to come in at 10 o'clock. They want to sit around and talk. You go, look, we gotta go over here and hustle. We gotta hustle, and they don't get that. I mean, and so if they don't get it at that age, and I'll be willing to bet, Chuck, when you were 20 years old, you had that same passion. Now, you might have had something in you, but you probably had that same passion because you said your dad raised you that way to look at life that way.
My teachers did also.
Well, and I think that's there's an entitlement there. So that's
that entitlement. You hear that applied a lot. That label applied a lot to millennials. And I didn't.
Wait a minute. I didn't. I said millennial, Gen X.
No. But I didn't say. I said you hear that applied to them a lot. And in fact, said something very, very wise. It said, labeling people is the first mistake we do. We label them and then attach a stereotype to that label. And that's very true, and that's what we're talking about today on the show, about the ages.
Yeah, but I think that's. I also think. I'll be honest. I don't disagree with what Vic says, but I think that is some of that PC that comes into play today. Absolutely. We are too PC with some of that stuff. Bullshit. You got to work hard. You got if you go to work at the electric company and you find yourself climbing poles or riding in trucks, and you look around one day and go, man, I just hate this job. If you don't act on that and go find something that you want to do when you're 45, you're still going to be hating that damn job.
But because of that label and that stereotype, you may not be given the opportunity to show that you want to work hard, is what I'm saying.
But that's you. You got to do it. Nobody's going to come down and in other words, if you go to work at the electric company and you go, man, I just don't want to do this anymore. What do you want?
No, but you won't even get in the. What I'm saying is that stereotype may stop you from even getting in the door of the electrical company.
I'm telling you right now that there's a lot of people that work for my wife right now that if she had to hire them on the street, she'd never hire them.
No, that's true. Why are they hired? Is it her decision or somebody else's?
They're student workers. They're student workers. That's just
they're cheap. They're cheap.
They're cheap. Yeah, they're cheap. They're cheap workers. It's what you can get. You have to hire these students. You have to employ them. But they come in with an attitude. I mean, I've been around them. They're a lot of great people. I mean, they're fun to be around. They're creative and everything. And I'm not saying. I mean, every one of us when we were college age, we didn't really have. I mean, not everybody, but we didn't really know what our future was going to be. We didn't have that well ironed out for us. So you kind of flailing around, drinking all the beer you can and chasing whatever you're chasing. But today it's magnified. And what I see, it's fun to be around that. It's fun to question because at times I've tried to relate back, well, is that generation the same as my generation was? And how is it different? The difference goes back to what Lisa was talking about, being digital native. Nowadays, they are sharing so much and so many reputations come along that it is magnified and will follow you into that career, Ray, right? It'll follow you. In other words, if somebody's talking about, Randy over there, every day he comes in, he works on my team, but he never shows up on time. And as soon as he gets here, he goes hide somewhere and tries to chuck off the job. They're all talking about that.
Okay, my question is, why are they still on the job? I'll blame employers.
Well, maybe that's probably another conversation, right?
Well,
Ray?
I realize that.
We need to bring a couple more people in there. I'd like to bring Jenny in there. You don't have to go yet, Lisa. You haven't said very much, but I'd like to bring Jenny, and I'd also like to bring Jay in, because Jay's talking about his overcoming something that's probably been around since we've all worked. So
we'll hear from a Gen Xer. Come on in, Jay. Lisa, just get back to what you were saying while we're waiting for Jay to join us. About the video thing, and I was wondering if you think, this is Jenny coming in.
Jenny, Jay, stay in there. We'd like to talk to you too.
It's about the video thing, and whether, because video obviously is taking off, we have new platforms happening every day. Do you think that is something that is easier to grab hold of technically than, say, writing blogs and content marketing and all that? Do you think the reason it's so popular is that it's more accessible for more people?
Yeah, I do. Look at, several years ago, Apple started with FaceTime, and we had Skype, so people started to integrate live stream video into their personal lives quite a few years ago. We're talking about age, no matter what age. Most people have used Skype or FaceTime or something like that. So now that it's starting to come, and we have apps like BLAB and Periscope and Meerkat, and we had and have Google Hangouts and all of these other things, it's becoming very easily accessible. And I think that it's the piece that's been missing in our online, we talk about digital marketing, and it's been the piece that's been missing, because if we look back in the old days, 100 years ago or 50 years ago, most business was done face to face in, brick and mortar businesses. You went in and, if you were a good business, you built relationships face to face with your customers. And when we came into the online space, that piece was taken away, and all we were left with was text and images. And there was this piece that, as humans, we have the need to connect, and it's voila, made it completely transformed everything again. In my opinion, it doesn't matter what age you are with. This is anybody. I see all types of people coming on. It's this platform, BLAB, more than any that I've seen so far, is proof that the technology is here. It's accessible. It's easy for anybody to use.
Sorry, Lisa. I just wanted to get your poor Jenny has been sitting here. On the
I was going to pop out, you guys. It was
okay. Hey, thanks. Come back and see us.
So much.
Thanks a lot, Lisa, very much. Thank you. It was great to see you.
You guys caught me actually after I was exercising, but I saw the You Too Old to Work in Digital Marketing. I'm the oldest of my Gen X sisters, cousins, and everybody. And I hire a lot of very, very different generations across the spectrum. And I'm in digital marketing for entertainment. So I do social and digital for the studios and for TV. And I find that the stereotypes, which we all have, that we all talk about, are applicable across the board. It usually has to do with where that person obviously was raised, how they were nurtured, who were their supporters, where did they learn to work, and where did they mature, and then what shaped them. For me, I've worked through 3 recessions, so that shapes my motivations. For some millennials that I've hired, they are extremely hard workers. In fact, some of the best workers that I've ever had, certainly the most creative. And in many cases, I have to be honest, sometimes harder workers and more creative than my own generation, who are tired and have been through the cycles many, many times. So I find that, no, I don't think anybody's too old for marketing. It's not like you're asking them to do a physical job or a career that requires a skill set that they can't learn. I think any age can learn digital marketing. I think it's an amazing industry. I happen to fall into it. I love what every single generation brings to it. It's something new all the time. It's why I'm in it in the first place.
Jace joined us.
Hello.
How you doing?
I'm
Hey, Jace.
peachy because I'm round and fuzzy. How are you guys?
We're doing well, buddy. Let's hear your Casey Kasem analogy.
Well, okay. So I was actually, real quick, my local radio station had a rewards program where if you collected enough points through programs that they ran, you could actually host or co-host a show for a particular hour, or you can join the morning show. I've done the morning show once. I've done the afternoon show probably a dozen times, and it's in my blood. You know what I mean? It's something I really enjoy doing, just communicating. I mean, I've never met either of you three or really anybody else in the comments that I could recognize, and I would love to have a sit-down conversation over coffee with each and every one of you. Just not Starbucks; they're too expensive. But Dunkin' Donuts, maybe. You know,
they give me free coffee, Jace. That's
look at that, Randy.
Hey, what's that? Is that senior special, Randy?
Yeah, that's what keeps you going.
So, I've done these shows probably a dozen times, and it just kind of stuck with me. And I said, I really want to get in the radio. I used to work for the AV tech department for my school, so I would run the morning announcements. So I decided I was going to email the program director and the assistant program director and say, what do you think about helping somebody achieve a childhood dream? Would you help somebody out? You know what I mean? And they said, oh, yeah, well, what did you have in mind? And I said, well, I mean, I'm definitely not promising any kind of syndication, but I'm promising I'm going to be one of the hardest damn working people that you have in that building. I'm going to be the one person that wants to sit there, and I want to learn everything from how to install a microphone to how to install the antennas and the towers. I want to learn every bit of it. And he says, well, normally what we do is we do an unpaid internship for college classes for journalism and things like that. And I said, why do I need a piece of paper that says I can talk to people? Behind what you do.
You said you want a contest, though, that's kind of ignited to give you the opportunity to get a reel that shows your voice online, right?
It wasn't even a contest. It was just a reward. It was a reward for listening.
But that, I mean, it was a promotion that the station did, and you got the promotion, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And I've done it several times over because I just enjoyed what I did, and I said, well, why would you need a degree to be on the radio? You don't even have to wear clothes to work on the radio. Why would you need a degree?
I think Jace brings up a good point. I mean, but those are anomalies, right? I mean, those are rarities. I've had people in my work teams that didn't have a formal education and they got there for various reasons. Talent. I know a man right now that is in a company that just went public. He's the executive vice president. I worked with him years ago as a consult. He's one of the smartest guys I've been around, never stepped foot on a college campus. I mean, but those are anomalies. I mean, the degree sometimes the degree just gets the damn door open. There's a lot of people with degrees that ain't got bat shit for talent.
Jenny, before we go, Jenny, I just want to say thanks for coming by, because my floor director is telling me to cycle the guest.
Yes, and I was going to say bye.
I want to thank
you
you so much, because there's so much that you said that I wanted to go a little bit deeper, but maybe next time. So take care.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
You can't go through life without someone. We're not all the same. Okay? Right. We're not. And we don't all have the same ethics. We don't all have the same skin. We're different. We got to get along with that. But in work, if I'm a business guy and I need to get something out, I don't really care if you got a degree or not. If you have the attitude like Jace, and you come across my path and I need a talent, and you come across my path and you're able to convince me like you were able to do, then hell, I just need to push product or something out, right? So I'm going to take that chance. The problem is you never really get, I mean, people, it's very difficult. You would have not had that opportunity, Jace, if they'd posted that job. Well, I'm just going to say it. The opportunity probably wouldn't be as easy to get as if they'd posted that job looking for somebody to do that job, but they ran a promo and you just happen to be lucky to get in there, and you have the attitude that got you that space going forward.
And Bill had mentioned this in our show just prior to this, is getting past that algorithm, getting past that job, the want ad that basically says, these are the requirements. You need a degree in this, and you need this and this and this and this. And a lot of people are either don't go beyond, and if they don't have all these requirements, they say, oh, I can't do that job. But some employers who have some vision and understand that, a good employee is not just a list of things on a piece of paper. those are rare, I think. The people that I've come across anyway, those are rare because they look deeper than qualifications when they look to work with somebody.
Right. Well, the other problem is, though, is like my aunt, who just got a master's in human resources and communications. Everyone's telling her that she's overqualified. She's overqualified now. So at what point do you go, good, I'm going to invest in myself so that a company will invest in me? And then the company says, yeah, we're just not willing to pay for anything that you have to offer because we want to take somebody who is newer or who doesn't have the experience. So it's kind of a catch-22 because you're investing all this time and money in something that you think, not that I want to say that the world owes you something, because they certainly don't, but that you think that a company would invest in you as a person, as a qualified individual, that you went out and you can show, I have a master's degree, I hustled my tail off to earn all this information, and I have the skill set that's needed, and I have job history in this, and then they go, yeah, we got nothing. We're not going to hire you. You're overqualified.
That's one of the challenges, I think, of older employees.
Yeah.
Employers see them as overqualified, meaning they're going to cost me more.
Yeah, supply and demand. I mean, that's just it's the cold reality, and it's even more so today. Jason, I want to tell you something, man. I'm just going to offer you this, and you don't have to say sir to me, but
I'm sorry.
You got a great attitude. Good luck with what you're doing.
Thank you.
Love it. Never close your ears to learning from an old guy or a younger person, and remember it down the road when somebody comes along needing some coaching. Give it back.
I will.
Yeah,
great.
That's what we. And I agree with you totally. I mean, that's the attitude that we need. I think we say we're using generalities in general. I think what did Vivek say that the medium, the minimum, but the minimum wage. I mean, minimum age now globally went up 4 years, 26 now. Yeah. I mean, so that's a lot of damn people. But anyway, you go forward and do good work, man. It'll pay off. It'll pay off.
Thank you.
Great.
I appreciate it. Thanks for having me, guys.
Well, thank you so much. That was a great, Rudy. I'm glad you joined us, and thanks everybody for joining us because we actually went overtime because it was such a enthralling conversation. So thanks, Randy, for co-chairing. Man, you're really good. You should try this hosting thing.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Hey, you bet, buddy. You bet, Jason. Come back anytime.
Take care, guys.
I'll be your co-chair anytime.
Thanks a lot, Randy. Take care, guys. See you guys next week, same time. Bye-bye.
See ya.